Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Maintenance Motorway. In this episode we're going to be talking about coolant. The job of the coolant is to draw heat from the engine into the environment to prevent the engine from overheating and also to keep the engine at optimal operating temperature. Now sometimes we get the question, what's the difference between antifreeze and coolant? Now it's really a good question, and maybe the better question to ask is, what causes one liquid to be both an antifreeze and a coolant? And that's because of whatever chemical is in here. The key chemical in here is called ethylene glycol, and I'm going to try to zoom in here to see if you guys can see it. Right here you can see ethylene glycol. Now, ethylene glycol keeps its integrity pretty well at low temperatures, which is basically winter temperatures, and also at engine operating temperatures. Typically engine operating temperature is around 220 Fahrenheit. And your thermostat typically starts to open between 195, say 190 to maybe 210 Fahrenheit is when your thermostat opens, so that the engine cool down process can begin. So what that means is that if this liquid, the ethylene glycol, which has a boiling point of around 330 Fahrenheit, is in here, okay, at that point it will still have it will still be in liquid form and will be able to circulate to keep the engine cool. So this is why using water in your cooling system is discouraged, because you see water boils around 100 degrees Celsius, which is around 212 Fahrenheit. And what that means is that when the engine is hot and it needs to cool down, the water is going to be in vaporized form and it's not going to be able to cool the engine down. And that's going to lead to overheating, engine damage, head gaskets and things like that. It can also cause some internal engine damage as well. So hopefully that helps you understand why we have the name antifreeze and coolant on the container at the same time. It's just because the liquid does two jobs. Okay, it needs to act as an antifreeze, obviously, so it doesn't freeze over in the winter, and it needs to be able to cool the engine out as well. So that's a coolant in that regard. So that's why we have this. Now, for the sake of simplicity, we're going to refer to this going forward as coolant. Now right here we have 50-50. This ratio here, 50-50, just means that there's 50% ethylene glycol and 50% distilled water. It's not just water, distilled water. The reason why this is something that we're going to talk about in a different video. Okay, now that we're done with the coolant, we're going to go over here and show you how to check your coolant and what to look out for when you're checking your coolant. Now, some people confuse the coolant container with the windscreen washer fluid. Now you can look at this here. Your windscreen washer fluid has a symbol on it. This symbol here is also displayed on your wiper switch. Okay, so do not confuse the two. Also, in a previous episode we talked about the fact that with coolant, the coolant is usually written right here on the cap. As you can see on the top here, you can see there's written coolant. Okay, so do not confuse the two. Now, checking your coolant is a pretty straightforward process. It can be tricky sometimes for some people because most modern vehicles have what we call this overflow tank. Okay, this one here. Now, in other vehicles you're not going to find an overflow tank, so you're going to have to basically open your radiator cap, take your cap off your radiator and pour the contents of your coolant bottle in here. But you need to be extremely careful because this can be dangerous if the engine is still hot. Okay, so you want to make sure the engine is cooled down properly, and then you can open it slowly and just put the contents of your bottle in here. Now you can also see that there is a low level here. It might be hard to see. You can see the F here, which basically signifies the full, and then there's a L at the bottom, maybe hard to see, but there's also L down there, which is low. Ideally you just want your fluid level to be somewhere in the middle of these two. You can see it needs some coolant in there, so we're going to go ahead and fill this here shortly. But yeah, so you want to make sure you're somewhere in between the two, or do not go past the full line. Just stay right there at the full of your reservoir as well. Now we hope you guys enjoyed the video. Connect with us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and YouTube. And always remember, don't text and drive, don't drink and drive, and always practice defensive driving. See you in the next video.